Okay, there we go. Ooh-wee. Okay. Wow. All right, we're live. Gee, sorry guys. Dumelang, sanbonani, molweni, goeie, a ke tsebe ke goeie mang ke lebetse. Hello guys. Sure. Okay. My name is Katleho Buntle Mutingwe, and I am your host for Around the Table Conversations. So just before we start, guys, I just want to put a disclaimer out. A lot of us were struggling with network today. So we will see how the show goes in the next 10 to 15 minutes, and then we will make a decision either to carry on or to redo the show when we can again. So please just bear with us. And if you are experiencing any issues, please do make sure to just comment, and we'll see all your comments just so we know if we're doing all right. And also just to check if we are all on the same page. But just an intro again, my name is Katleho Buntle Mutingwe. Some of you know me as Katleho, some of you know me as Buntle, but I'm very cool with all my names, literally. I don't mind the nicknames and the pet names, and if I really do find anything offensive, I do let people know. So welcome again, guys. Welcome to Around the Table. And I'm going to introduce my co-host, and I'm sure you guys have seen this face so many times. Tandolwetu Khatebe. Some of you call her Tando Red. I call her Tando. It's a long story, but yes, I've had Tando in my life for quite a while, and I'm really excited for the future. Hi, Tando.
Hello, Bunchies. Hi, everybody. Hello, how are you?
How are you, Tando?
I'm great.
How are you feeling?
Well. I'm feeling better. I'm actually very happy today. Today's a good day. Today's a fucking great day. Did I say fucking?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's okay. It's a safe space. You're allowed. I mean, we're all adults here. But I hope that we don't have any issues, because I know we're all experiencing network issues, you know.
Yeah.
So I did put a disclaimer out there that if anybody does experience anything different, please, they must let us know, and we will, you know, we will either decide doing it today or not. But anyway, please do introduce yourself for people that are as well.
My name is Tandolwetu Khatebe Upungano Mashia Mashe. But everyone calls me Tando. If you really know me well, you call me Red. For radical, which I'm not, but anyway. A story for another day. I worked in the film and television industry. I've worked in this industry for a long time. I love everything that is township. I love digital spaces, and I'm so happy we're finally doing this. I'm happy we're finally doing this, man.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, sorry guys. Sorry. Okay.
Are you concentrating?
No. So I was trying to get my watch party on so that other people can still catch it, guys. So if you're not on the page, you can go on my personal profile, and the watch party is there for people to catch. So yeah, I was just disorganized for a bit there.
Also, if you know any of the ladies on the show tonight, the watch party will be on all of our pages. So yeah, get your people, and you can share it on your page. You can do a watch party. Let's see how far this goes, actually.
Everybody that's watching can share a watch party with their audience, and let's see how far we can reach.
Guys, make us go viral. We've never trended. Have you ever trended?
No, I haven't actually. I've made other people trend because my job is to make people trend and everything in digital, but I've never trended, you know. I miss the days of Twitter where people used to actually make you trend, but anyway. So let's not take time because there is quite a few of us today, so we want everybody's voice to be heard. But I just want to touch on something, you know, and it is something that kind of hit home from the men's conversation on Monday.
I was actually about to ask you, please give me two things that stood out for you on your conversation
from
on
the
Monday.
show. Yeah. Okay. So the first thing was that men were just saying how they want to be heard, you know? And they were saying that they never have a voice in corporate. They never have a voice in relationships, but they have a voice in corporate, you know? And basically all they were saying is that nabo bafuna ukulalelwa, you know what I mean? And even in the relationship, when they feel like there's conflict or there's something, women just never get to listen to them, you know what I mean? So the one thing that George did say as well is that we must remember that hit home, like that hit home for me, you know? And I was like, okay, it got me thinking, like it got me feeling guilty. And I
had moments, like after George dropped that line, like I had a moment and I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm not heard at work. I'm not seen. I'm not listened to. And maybe I've been making someone else feel like that at home. Well, not home because I skip it, but hey, but like I've been making someone else's son feel like that. And I thought maybe let's take a look at ourselves, you know? Let's take a look at ourselves. Let's look at our toxic traits. Let's see how we contribute to the decay of relationships and the mental health of men. Because I mean, if we have struggles at work, you are actually depressed, you are tired, imagine making someone feel like that in a space that's supposed to be a safe space.
Everywhere we go, we want it to be a safe space, whether work, whether home, or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
But still, dude, there's no safer space than with the person you are naked with.
Actually,
there should be no other safer space than dude. If like fuck.
Okay. Yes, let's introduce our guest too, because I can see them in the back end. Everybody there is cheering and nodding, and you know. But anyway, guys, thank you so much, Tando, for being an amazing co-host, and thank you to everybody that's there. Annelisa, Zaba, I don't know who Tandofo is, but
we see you,
and we see your comments out there. You know,
and we see all of you that keep on coming back.
Yes, definitely. We appreciate it. And we appreciate the love and the comments. Like, it's so amazing, like how people engage and how we're having such open conversations without having to worry about either our
people are showing up
or anything, you know. But anyway, I'm going to introduce everybody at the same show. And then, okay, actually, maybe not. Let me introduce our return guest because she likes things. You know,
our content producer.
You know, hello Archie. Please unmute her. We want to hear your hello. Unmute.
Oh crap! I can't even see her, fam.
Oh man.
Hello, content producer. Please tell the world that you got a promotion.
Oh yes, yo guys, I got a promotion. So I came here as a guest, right? And then I left as a content producer because also I'm a liker of things. And then
but it's good. The team grows. That means there's effort in everything that we're doing. That means we are making an impact. You know, we're doing something. So I mean, why not? If the team can grow bigger and we're able to produce content that actually people want to hear or actually start conversations that people want to have, why not? You know, so welcome Ati. Thank you for returning as a guest and not as a content producer because you like things, but we are really, really happy to have you back. Now I'm going to introduce this lady. When this lady put her poster out, people were like, yo, show it was like 11, you know,
because hey,
you know what I mean? So I would like to assume that Ula, you know, but let us hear what her opinions are. Let us hear her voice. Miss Black Diamond. I don't know who she is. I just knew her name, you know, but I know that is a Lerato somewhere. So let's get to know her. Hello, Lerato.
She says she has fans
for days. Hey. Hey, everybody.
Lerato was struggling with her connection.
Yes. So just
down in the south.
Let's move along because I think she's. Yeah, let's introduce our third guest. She'll come up.
Lerato's here. I don't know what you're
talking about. Letaimani.
What's happening? Get like on the show because I'm here and you're not recognizing.
Hello, the lady who's fan.
Okay, and then
Hello.
our last guest actually is Nelly.
Can I introduce her?
Okay, please do.
Can I
Please do.
introduce her? Yo, guys, man, like, yo, fuck, this is a really, really great friend of mine. Very smart. I think this woman taught me emotional intelligence. I never used to have that. I used to like shout and scream, no maganjani. And this lady taught me a lot of emotional intelligence. She taught me a lot about myself. Yo, dude, she's amazing. She's amazing in the news space, in the current affairs space. And I'd like to introduce Uzwi Deonel. Where is she?
What an introduction. Hello. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Nella.
Hello,
How are
Nelly.
you? What an introduction. I mean, do you still need me here? You've said everything.
No, we need insights. We need insights. Insights.
Hello, B. Hello, Artie. Hello, Miss Black Diamond.
Okay, guys. Anyway, just to get the show going, just a request from me. Please, can we just have everybody's mic muted, and I guess you can unmute as we go along. Just so we keep the show clean, and we can all hear each other, and we're not speaking above each other. So, Tando, please tell me, what did you think? I mean, you did give a bit of insight on what you think about the show on Monday with the men, you know what I mean? And when we spoke about the elusive woman, what's the first thing that came to mind when you saw the topic? Like, what's the one thing that you were like, yo, where do I even start?
Can we do our icebreaker first? Because someone is going to kill us.
Okay, sorry. Yes, please. Let us
so ladies, just to get us calm, to get us in the right energy, we usually have icebreaker questions. And this week's icebreaker question is the potato. Yeah, we're going to talk about the potato. So according to Ati, the potato is the most underrated vegetable. It is like the vegetable of vegetables. It makes all the other vegetables look like they are not doing anything. So how do you like your potatoes? I'll start. I like my potatoes as mash. I think that's the best way to have potatoes as mash. And also my mom calls potatoes inkosiogusha. So like there is no complete meal. There is no complete meal without that. Ati, how do you like your potatoes?
Well, I like them in liquid form. I like my potato in like fries. Like I love potato generally. Like it makes all the other veggies so lazy. By inside, while potato is working hard.
Yes.
So lazy.
Nelly, how do you like your potatoes?
I like my potatoes mashed as well. And part of the reason I like my potatoes mashed is because on the days that I'm lazy, for instance, I can use my potatoes and put them in my pap. So like Ati's saying, amazambane are versatile. You can use them in anything, anyhow. You can make a hash brown the following morning. Like you can do anything to a potato. I think potatoes actually speak to my personality. I think potatoes are vegetables with a vision. Whatever the season, whatever the difficulty, the potatoes can adapt. I'm that person. Give me a vision, I'm good to go.
Yes.
We can't hear you, Tando. You're muted.
Unmute, Tando, unmute.
Oh, sorry. Larato, how do you like your potatoes, honey? Black Diamond. Okay, let's move along.
Okay. I like my potatoes mashed, actually. Mash, you know?
Ma'am, I'm a mashed person. I like my potatoes mashed. I like them in liquid form. What are these liquid potatoes?
It means vodka. Vodka is made out of potatoes, fam.
What are these liquid potatoes in the time of lockdown?
Oh, guys. Okay, we're having issues with Lerato. She's got a big delay there. So I'm going to remove her off the stream. And then Tando, please just ask her to kind of try again. If not, if we don't win with her, ladies, please can we just continue with the show, no?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But anyway, guys, I was saying, Uguti, I like my potatoes gamesh. You know, somebody's saying that they can't hear us. Thumbs up, ladies. You can hear me? Thumbs up. Thumbs up, Tando. Okay, Lisejo, please just let me know if you can hear us. Zaba, I know you're there. And Elisa, please let me know. So please just type, guys, if you can hear us so that we know whether to continue with the show or we need to. Because
my people are fine. Hey, my people are fine. Maybe that person should just check.
But I'm then just talking about the people that are listening. Okay, Togozani says they can hear us now. Okay, cool. I was saying, ladies, Uguti, I enjoy my potatoes as mesh. Ki rata, kapilu, moya, lisfuba. That is everything that is me, you know. And I like potatoes fried as well. So yeah, I'm a potato girl, you know. I love my potatoes and everything. Like starch on starch, I don't mind as well. Like it's a thing. Like it's a thing for me, you know. But yeah. Okay, my volume. So okay, I don't know what's happening, you know, but yeah, let's pray through God's mercies. If we don't win in the next 10 minutes, guys, we will have to reschedule the show because sure, network is a problem today.
Yeah, but I think my people can hear. Well, I think everyone.
My people are also fine.
I can say there are people that are saying your volume, so I can say the comments to the show, so it's not me. But anyway, let's move along. Tando, I was asking you what you thought about the Elusive Woman.
So when we were discussing the topic of the Elusive Woman, it gave me like an aha moment, you know, to say maybe it's time for us to self-reflect as women. Maybe it's time to be honest, open ourselves, and have an honest conversation. We always say, yeah, men are toxic, men are white people, men are trash. But what are we? What are we? And I know I've had this conversation with Ati where we're always saying what men are, and we never listen to their because all I've ever heard people respond to when we say men are trash is not all men. I ask them why we say not all men? Nah. So maybe it's time we look at ourselves and let's take this moment and reflect and unpack and be raw and be honest.
Great.
Like, and be honest, you know, what are we doing to people's fans?
Tando, sorry to interject. The flickering light behind you, that is a problem to the show.
Is it better?
I guess so. Yeah, even if we don't see your full face, but I guess that flickering light was an issue. But yes. But anyway, just to continue, Ati as well. Yes. Ati, to continue as well. Well, I mean, the Elusive Woman, you had so many questions around the Elusive Woman. What was your thoughts around that?
Sure. For me, at first, because before we spoke Elusive Woman, we spoke toxicity, right? And I thought to myself, for me, my immediate response to a toxic man or somebody I feel like is being toxic is also being toxic. So there's never a point where I'm always like, I actually want to address your toxicity and sit down for whatever reason. Maybe I feel like you're not going to listen because, like we said, men don't listen to men. But my immediate response to a toxic man is being toxic. And I don't feel like I'm solving anything by doing that. So when I heard Elusive Woman, firstly, I thought, are we not bringing down women for the way they feel about the way men are? But regardless of what elusive is, you still do become toxic. Regardless of what the reason is, you still do become toxic. So now, how do we get to the root? Try see how the root is sitting in order for us to pluck it out, and then we can then stop being so toxic to each other. Or we each understand toxicity when we do bring out our traits, or when our traits do jump out at us, then we can, you know, the green lights go off to say, hey, wait a minute, I've seen this before. And the last time I've seen it, it was labeled toxic, even by myself. Mm-hmm. So I think the honesty is very important.
I'm going to respond to you. Sorry, I just want us to all understand what we're speaking about. You know what I mean? Just so people understand where our opinions come from. So Nelly, what is the elusive woman to you? Like what's the first thought that came to you?
Look, when I first saw that, I thought, wow, this is an opportunity for me personally as a woman to look in the mirror and probably lay myself bare to the levels of toxicity that exist within me. And I feel as though most times it is something that as women we don't want to confront, the fact that we are toxic. And I guess it's because most of the conversations around us have been about the toxic masculinity. So I think a lot of us are not awoken to the fact that toxic femininity also exists. So that for me was what I had to think about, the fact of how real toxic femininity actually is as well.
Sure. Okay. Yes, sis. You guys feel ready, like isn't and they must come out, you know. Lerato, what's your take on the elusive woman? Like what's the first thing you thought about when we were speaking about or when the topic of elusive woman came out?
Firstly, I think the elusive woman is one that is feared. She's confident, her self-esteem is high, and many times she comes across as though she comes across as intimidating because people don't know how to approach a woman that is not saying, oh, pick me, as apart from every other woman that never wants to be picked by a man. So that's what I thought of when I heard the topic of the elusive woman. This is the woman that says, I'm unapologetic about myself. This is what I want. And I'm not going to compromise my standards to suit the narrative of what you believe that a woman should be.
Oh, that's amazing. Like a lot of you kind of spoke about how we are always toxic to ourselves, you know, and those are the things that were pointed out. I mean, we all come from relationships and we might have contributed to the toxic behaviors that happened in relationships, you know, in our corporate spaces or in our entrepreneurial journeys or just spaces around us where we've contributed and we were not aware of it, you know, like guys, because what the conversation maybe that came up on Monday again is that men want to be valued so that they feel like they're loved. How are we valuing men without being toxic, you know? And among it, without being toxic, I mean, we spoke about this as we were preparing for the show that we always want to have a say. We always want to have the last word. You know what I mean? Like, how do we contribute to male behavior?
I feel it starts when I'm thinking of like so many times where I'd speak to friends or something, you know, to say hi ngimthukile usibanibani, hi ngimtshelile indaba zakhe, hi. And then I'm like, oh friend, you're so angry. And our response and we'd discuss and unpack and realize, no man, he made you like this. So I want us to maybe, I don't know, are we toxic because we are responding to how men are treating us? Or because they can't be the only toxic people in the world, you know? So are we toxic as a response to how they're treating us? Or are certain people just toxic regardless of gender?
You know what I think, right?
Yeah,
I think this is actually so sensitive in a sense that you can't take male and feminine toxicity without looking at the history of where the two come from, right? Patriarchy always been a thing in the African culture. I mean, looking at other races, including white people, it's a thing with white people too, but obviously to a different degree. I'm not going to get into that because I don't know. But the places where the two come from was when the other one had power, and the power literally meant whatever you said goes. Nobody questions you because you're the head, and being the head literally means you reign, you rule, you're the king. And the woman has always been inferior. I think there's a time when we all woke up to the reality that we're all human, we're all breathing, we're all, we've got blood that runs in our veins. We've got needs, we've got concerns, we've got all of these things that need to be paid attention to. And I feel like the day a woman woke up to the reality of how human and valid they actually are as well, all hell broke loose. We fought because nobody was there to sit and listen. Nobody could say, oh, what are you saying? You are valid. Because men didn't know how to say you're valid. Their entire makeup was always, you are more valid than anybody else. So they were always taught, you don't become too emotional, because if you do become emotional, these women are going to tremble over you, you know? So men have always, literally, they are born with their guard up the whole entire time. A boy falls, you say, don't cry, you're being a sissy. So the whole time, they feel like they need to be macho. And Tina, we need to literally be born to, are you okay? You know? So the whole construct of feminine and masculine is so intense and so fragile, in that now when we thread, we have to literally look at the roots and then move up and then move up. And I feel like we're doing that. So, sorry, I lost my train of thought. So we were saying, I forgot. Anyway, guys. Yeah, that's where I am.
Randa, I know you want to say something.
But I hear what you're saying. Negi, what's your take?
I have to agree.
Yeah, Lerato, you were saying?
Yes, I have to agree, Ati, but I think where we should actually begin is to, and this is what I always say, is to change the narrative. Yeah, to sort of remove gender roles. Of course, we can't remove everything that a man is supposed to do or things that women are supposed to do. But if we first start in the beginning to say, you are human before you are gender, then we are able to realize and understand that even as a man, he will go through things that will require him
Lerato has
at
us
some point
moving.
to
Can you guys
show
say
a little
Lerato?
little bit of emotion.
Yeah.
Lerato, we can't hear you
Can you
properly.
guys hear me?
Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
You have earphones, maybe. Okay, we're gonna have to move along, guys. Lerato, I'm going to mute your mic because we can't hear you and the sound behind you is kind of disturbing. So I'm going to mute you and I'm just going to move along.
yeah, Nemi.
Nelly.
Particularly during lockdown.
There we go.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to make an example using my own relationship because I'm married. And when lockdown started, a lot of people were saying a lot of relationships are going to crumble because, you know, people's characters are going to come out because now you're in the same space together and you need to confront each other. But what I found is when you start to actually be on the same page and not be, there are no gender roles, right? So Mina, my husband, would wake up and cook for us, make breakfast, ayenza makuinya, bake for us. The things that society would say these are things that are meant for the woman, he would be doing. So for us in starting to sort of debunk and get rid of all of those gender roles, there was so much peace even in our relationship. So for me, that is the beginning of everything. That even in a relationship, in order for you to have peace, in order for you to have respect, it needs to be mutual and you need to earn it. So you can't, by virtue of being a man, you can't, by virtue of I wear the pants in the relationship, then think that you need to, ascend to the throne. You need to earn your kingship. So in order for me to be able to submit to you as the man, you need to earn it. And it becomes so much easier for me to submit to you when you have earned that respect. It doesn't even have to feel like I'm submitting. And so that's when we start then to sort of chop down on the toxicity, both with the masculine and the feminine. It's when we get rid of those gender roles, we get rid of the assumptions that I'm the man in the relationship and therefore, because some traits of women, like the nurturing bit of it, can also be toxic because some of the times you need to be selfless in being a nurturer. So it almost feels as though you'll be shooting yourself in the foot and you'll be compromising yourself. And so as time goes on, if you start to compromise yourself and you start to feel less than, then you start being toxic towards the person that you're with in the relationship. You start to not listen because they are assuming by virtue of being a man, they deserve the respect. And for me, that's not how it works.
So would it be fair to say that one of the first things that maybe make people toxic is understanding power?
Yeah.
Because I mean, power can equate, and it is the basis of people being toxic.
And for me also, it comes to what I call the wounded woman who becomes the awakened woman. So as soon as you move from that point of being wounded and then you assume the point of being awakened, that's where the clash then begins, because I think as women we spend most of our lives as wounded women. And now because we're starting conversations such as these, it means we are those women who are starting to actually awaken. So there will be a clash in that we are, like Ayanda Boroto says, you are unbecoming to become. This is something that no one else has been exposed to. And so you are trying to find yourself in a society that has, assumed that you would be something else other than what you really are. So the process of unbecoming to become is a painful process on its own.
Yeah. So on that point, Nelly, on the unbecoming to become. So George mentioned a fact on Monday, and I'm going to refer back to the men's show because there's a lot of points where they kind of make sense where they intellect. Yeah? George spoke about how oh geez, you see, actually now you've given me a disease of losing my train of thought. But anyway,
real.
George spoke a lot about gender roles as well, ne? And then he also mentioned how in the becoming process, ne, there's a lot of our childhood or how we were raised that kind of contributes to the people that we become, right? Yes. I then made an example about my personal experience, and I was like, in my marriage then, ne, I used to think that it is okay to be in what I deemed a toxic relationship, right? But you start understanding, Uguti, how we were raised, ne? And the behaviors that we consumed then contribute so much to our upbringing. You know what I mean? Because that is all we know. That is all we are taught. And because in the Black community, we are taught, Uguti, you cannot question Abu Koko Nabo Mkul. You cannot question Abu Auntie, Nabo Mama, and everything that happens, But because now we are in the stage of becoming, how do we sit down and say, okay, we are unlearning, right? All these bad habits. We are unlearning, right? The religions and everything that we were taught, How do we unlearn these things without having to blame the next person, And there's a question that came up here that Zabalaza was asking to say, who teaches people to be toxic?
I think, do you know when I was thinking after the Monday show, I realized that I have toxic traits that contributed to the decay of my past relationship, right? But I think also when George said on Monday, choose someone who has the same background as you, I realized that when you were in a relationship with someone and they are acting as themselves and how they are raised, and I mean, angiyazi lento lena, angiyazi into ezokuthi umfana uzongitshela ukuthi yimi kuphela okumele ngipheke, yimi kuphela okumele ngicleane, yimi kuphela okumele. And the more he says that, is the more I speak back. The more he says that, is the more I become resistant. The more he says that, is the more nami ngifuna ukumbonisa. So people, as much as yes, in relationships, you sometimes you can't walk into a relationship and unlearn when you're not with the right person.
What is right? What's the right?
Because automatically your response and how you interact with them just becomes defensive. Because you've never been treated like that. So you automatically become like them because and that's how a lot of women become toxic, because man, he can't speak to you like that, so I'm going to speak to him like this. So sometimes you're in an environment where you can't even unlearn because you have built a culture of, I must protect myself.
You know what?
Before
what
you go on, Ati, sorry. My question is, how do we deem the right person for us? What's the difference between the right and the wrong? How do we know? Because half of the time when we go into relationships, we go into relationships, umuntu ngamaz, and the point of it all is to learn this person and to understand this person and whatever else. You know what I mean? So we always go in with our own experiences and our own expectations. You understand what I mean? So Utando Magati, I mean, I deem this as wrong or I deem this as right. Nah, that person will automatically retaliate because of their own backgrounds. So where do we find the balance is my question.
I think that's why they say you teach people how to treat you. And that is very important when you go into a relationship, that you don't go into that relationship with any expectations. Someone taught me expectation is the mother of all fuck-ups. So don't go in there expecting anything. So go in there to teach that other person how to treat you. I've seen relationships thrive with people who are from different backgrounds, but because they come in with the same vision, with the same goal, and they want to start their own thing. For me, the problem starts when we are having an argument and you say, or that's the problem, because what you're trying to do now is to build your own home. And so the foundation has got to be your own. In a literal sense, you need to go and buy your own material to be able to build your own home. So the two of you need to be bringing those things into this relationship, to be starting this foundation of this relationship that you're trying to build. That's where the problem lies. For me personally, if we are going to start comparing when we have our own children, when we have our own family, we need to agree on the morals. We need to agree on the values that we want to instill in these children in order for us to be able to build this family.
Ati?
So for me, right, in looking at myself, and I was like, you're actually quite a toxic person. How I helped myself in unlearning, or rather trying to undo the toxicity, was saying, I am broken, and that's why I'm probably toxic. And I'm broken in a sense that when I grew up, my dad did not listen to women unless it's his sister. That's the only time he would be able to listen. But my mother, how dare you speak? Also, no. So because of that, I grew up with a thing in my head where I'm like, if I try to reason with you on something and you give me your opinions, like, yeah, because that's who you are, I'm just going to numb myself and not feel, because it's not going to change anything. But that's toxic. I can't walk around feeling numb when men say something and they refuse to maybe not even agree with me, but hear me, because that's all I'm saying. You need to see me and you need to hear me. But I'm a toxic person. And so how now I'm trying to unlearn the toxicity of just numbing myself to things that either don't see me or understand me, is saying, you're also broken. I'm broken in my own space. And I had to actually accept that behavior from my dad broke me. And then I shouldn't allow it to dictate or spell out who I am, because I don't want to be a toxic person. I want to be able to sit across the table with my male friend who tells me their deepest, darkest secret, and then I'm going to say, friend, how do we undo this? Instead of me going, yeah, men are like that, and then you know what I'm saying? Because I'm breaking him some more. Because now he's not going to have space, feel safe to say, look, this is how I am, and. But in recognizing that you're broken, I'm able to be delicate and gentle and ask and hear and listen and be interested. But I'm stuck in between the why are men so privileged that I need to now stop and pay attention to how broken they are when they didn't stop and pay attention to how broken I am. So also, guys, to walk in that, I'm like, I need to understand why this is. Why do I have to take my 5 minutes off to understand how broken you are? You need to do this.
Because it makes you better. You do it for you. I think we also need to understand some points. Because maybe that trait doesn't only work in your relationship. Maybe it's in the office, It's in the office where you angeke uzofuna ukuzwa ngomuntu wesilisa because endlini awumamelwa. So here uzomamelwa and you will make sure of it. So maybe we'll start doing it for ourselves. Because I know I don't know how to be led by a man. I grew up in a house where my mom was doing everything. I don't know how to lead with a man, and that's my toxic traits. I get into a relationship and it takes time. Maybe you know this, like it takes time. It takes sitting with friends that have been in relationships to say, no man, again,
so Mauti,
yeah.
Okay, and I hear the fact Mauti angeke uze ngendod. You know what I mean? Because you grew up in a home where your mom does everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm a child of
this girl.
Yeah, I'm a child of divorce. So I happen to have my late brother around as well. Giti agnabafana. Right, so I have a few male cousins that I have nabomalum. So abomalum, I'm also trying to have that cool thing, yobuti. Okay, cool. Let us try and raise you in a protective environment, but also masigi again, go experience whatever it is that you have to experience, right? And maybe to my luck is that I'm such a tomboy, and all my friends were male. You know what I mean? So I kind of had to adjust and understand ubuti. This is how males behave. This is why certain behaviors and so forth and so forth. Another point that I want to make, and something that we were talking about as we're preparing for the show, is that, okay, I mean, people stay in toxic relationships, you know, and people don't leave the relationship for intenkulu because a man has cheated or whatever. They leave the relationship for reason, for instance, you know, like you don't want to, and I've got a 9-hour shift and I'm asking you, begele amazambane stofini, frosteli nyama, or whatever the situation is. Then I come back home and you haven't done that. You know what I mean? And the male counterpart doesn't understand but in that as well, what I've learned is the communication. How are we communicating to one another? Because that in itself contributes to toxicity, right? It contributes to our behaviors. It contributes to everything else. As much as the men want to be heard, we want to be heard. So as partners, are we listening to each other, right? Or are we just hearing each other? You know what I mean? And also in the contributions, and we speak a lot about the expectations, are we open enough in saying, Yazin, baby, these are my expectations because this is what I really want. You know what I mean? We go into relationships, we understand that our expectations are not met, and then we try find amatabla or ways to make sure at least we get to a point where we're all amicable. How do we move away from? How do we walk in with being clear with our conscience?
That's for me, Bunte. That's one of the toxic traits of women, actually, and I don't think a lot of us women realize it. The fact that you become a pushover, the fact that you lower yourself, that on its own is one of the toxic traits of women. Actually, the fact that you don't want to ascend and own the power and own the voice. This is what I would like, and this is what I do not want. Do you know what I mean? So, in as much as we're talking about how are you communicating, the fact that we shoot ourselves, the fact that we hide ourselves, we mute our voice, that on its own becomes very toxic because it builds aggression in you as a woman. Whereas if you then ascend to the throne yourself and you make your voice heard, then things become much more easier because then everybody knows what you would like, what you do not want to, what you do not want. So if you get into a relationship and you silence yourself, it will be so difficult 3 years down the line to try and put the volume up because when volume is up, not in a sense of shouting, but in making your voice heard, in making your needs known, in making those so-called expectations, although I don't want to call them expectations, but for everybody to be on the same page, because men get into the relationship with exactly their voice high. For instance, a man will tell you, I just, yeah, but when ufuna sentimental, you don't want to sort of oh no, Nami, I'm just here for the fact body part of it. Do you know what I mean? You pretend like you're so nurturing, you're so sensitive, whereas now you just want benefits. So as soon as women come out of that and be comfortable in what are your motives, what do you want, it becomes so much easy for everybody. So for me, one of those toxic traits of women is dumbing ourselves down and ugu's muta for absolutely no reason.
Marangithi Nelly, we grew up in an environment where they say as a woman you must submit and
times are changing.
Times are changing.
And all of that.
You know
what I mean? So what I'm trying to get to is that sometimes rataba to express ourselves because na hesu, like I say, and I'm going to go back to hesu. I do not want to disappoint my aunt. I do not want to disappoint my mom, or I don't want to disappoint my family. How do we grow out of that kind of behavior to unlearn the toxic traits that our parents and our family has taught us?
Nelly said something very important that I think would just close this. Ungathathi izinto zakini bese uwakha ngazo kwakho. So I think we must also, it's just making me think, the more we start most of our sentences with minagiti, asizanga gini. Also, another thing is Tulane McKing spoke about something very important. He says the problem with women started when women started making toxic traits cool.
Yes.
Even hearing the music, we loved when Jill Scott walked up to that house and she was like, give me some Vaseline, and she wanted to beat up that woman. We made crazy look cool. And do you not think, how much did that contribute to us being toxic?
True. I feel like since we started talking, we're talking about toxicity in a relationship context. I think is that because I do think that we can be toxic friends as well as women.
Yes, we can be toxic to each other as women.
We can be toxic to each other as well as women, because I realize it's so hard for women to have a guy friend who is going to come to you and tell you how much he's cheating and you call him out. Is that not perpetuating toxicity?
Sure.
Instead, it's like, I'm a ride or die. Like, I'm with you. No, because we say men are trash. You are actually equally trash, because how dare you not call your guy friend out who is now trashing the girlfriend? Do you know what I'm saying? So I think toxicity is so broad, because now I feel like we've narrowed it down into just like a relationship perspective. Meanwhile, I have male colleagues and I'm toxic as fuck sometimes.
Yeah, I think also we're accommodating to our friends' toxic traits. We don't say things like that to each other. But we say it's nothing real. That is perpetuating being toxic in friendship.
So before we say men are trash, let's check our trash.
We are the dustbins.
Yes.
As trashy as a man is, when your married friend is going to go and date somebody, and then you go, now you go, okay, sharp. You're trash. So you're as trashy as a man. When are we going to talk about how trash we are?
So I know you guys have watched Blood and Water, ne? And I don't know how far you've watched it, right? And for those that have watched it as well. Okay, Aski's Tando. So the scene where this girl breaks up with the coach, who is also a teacher at school, and the best friend says, but how the fuck do you go and date a married guy? Like, what were you expecting? You know what I mean? Whereas the other friends were like, no, we kept it quiet because we knew you're gonna act like this, and so forth and so forth. You know, how far can we take it in being honest to each other? You know, that also kind of questions our morals and our integrity as well as humans, to say, okay, but I have these friends, I'm always perpetuating this behavior. Does that mean I am toxic myself because I perpetuated behavior? Does it mean I'm not being a true friend in saying, okay, friend, actually hold on? So because we are also so afraid to lose the friendships or the relationships around us in speaking our truths, how do we get there? Like, I think the biggest thing for me is, how do we find the solutions? How do we start the cycles of saying, okay, Katlego, you've been shit. Like, Kat, it's enough. my friend, I'm really not going to take it anymore because ngiyabona ukuthi awufuni ukungilalela, I cannot go on with this friendship and so forth and so forth. At what point do we get to a point where we say enough is enough from a friendship level? Angithi, we are now honest.
You know, women are smart. I think women are smart. I mean, like, you're my friend when Nelly's my friend. If I were to be in a relationship with a cheating man, I'd tell Katlaho and I wouldn't tell Nelly because Nelly's gonna call me out more. Which and I am more fun. Sing habas your chiva. So smart in how, because I don't want this one telling me, I don't even want to give Ati a chance to call me out. I won't tell her.
But you know why we do that? I feel like as women, we even glorify toxic traits in friendships. For an example, like what Utando is saying, Ubana, I can call Nelly because Nelly's gonna keep my secret. And then when we speak about qualities we love in Nelly, we're gonna say Nelly's a good secret keeper. It means that we glorify toxic traits in friendship. And then you know, we go, oh my gosh, she keeps my secrets. If we had to sit and say what secrets are those, we would see that shit, this relationship is even toxic, this friendship. Because nobody sits down and says, let us unpack.
So there's a comment that came in here, right? And it says, I am, on my watch party. Sorry, it's not going to come up here because I'm reading. It says, I am. That which follows these words is always so important. It's the beginning of enlightenment to that which we are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Nuati has taken the words right out of my mouth because I wanted to actually say that the problem with us as well as women is that we actually do glorify these toxic traits and we don't see them as toxic traits. And to answer your question, Winter, of where do we begin to change this? It's going to be such a difficult one because as mothers, for instance, we need to start and instill that in our own children. Because, for instance, with married women, we have our mothers-in-law who are right there at the top with the toxicity. We have our neighbors, who will always ask, ushatile mara unabantwana, ushatile mara unomntwana oyi-1, umenza nini omunye umntwana, ushatile mara unomntwana wentombazana unamntwana umfana. So the toxicity with women, even to each other, is a problem. There's terms like body shaming, and that's toxic. Those are the toxic traits that we have as women, and we exact on each other. That, you know, sizoti utando uyazitshela, utando ucabanga ukuthi muhle. Those are all the things that we do to each other as women. So to dismantle this, it starts with us, I suppose, because here we are having these conversations. Like for me personally, even as a mother, I feel I have a lot of toxic traits that my little one is probably learning. So for me, that's where it starts. I need to be teaching her how not to be toxic. But then it means it starts with me to unlearn and undo all of those things that probably I've taught myself, I think, because I've watched other people and I thought this is the way to go, but in actual fact, it isn't. So I need to be honest with myself to say all of the things that I've been watching growing up and thinking this is how you behave in a relationship. This is how you behave in a friendship. That's actually not how you need to be behaving.
So on that point, guys, so the same person again, Tebogo Lucy, says, most references in the conversation have to do with women's relationship and relatedness to men. Yeah? He is keen to just hear women speak about the topic with references to themselves. Right?
Yes.
Men really request on it in many respects. Let's hear the women's voices shine through without reference to men and masculinity. The idea the idea of the show was to start at that point. Those X-ray Atina. I just want to give reference to what Tebogo is saying. The idea behind the show, right, was to say we're going to reference to ourselves and X-ray to say how are we dealing. I mean, that's how we started with the opening questions. But clearly, it just goes to show Uguti, we ourselves have a lot of introspection to go through as well. Because yonke into esiyenzayo is a reference to someone. And I think Karabo Khamedi said it earlier on to say, why is it that we have to blame somebody for our toxic traits, right? So in this whole conversation, we've touched on every touch point we can possibly think of: relationships, friendships, corporate, and so forth and so forth. And everybody here kind of is playing the blame game and the dots and that and that. So we're all trying to connect the dots, you know? And like when I read that out to everybody, I'm now sitting here and thinking, shit, do I even know what my own toxic traits are? Or do I have an idea of what they are?
Look, I think the reason why it has gone in that direction is because you started and spoke about the guys' session and what the guys were saying, because the guys were saying they want to be listened to by the women. So now then we are now speaking relative to the needs of the guys. I think that's what we are answering to. But remember when we started and we were asking the question of, what did you think when you saw Elusive Woman? I said, Mina, it meant it is looking in the mirror as the woman and then unstripping yourself so that you can lay yourself bare and identify those traits. So I think the only reason why we went in that direction is because we were speaking relative to the guys. Once again, women trying to accommodate the men.
But also, I think also, you can't.
Just to also kind of answer what he's saying, if you honestly strip the topic down and think about it, I don't think this would exist without men.
Yes.
Because we don't have each other. So the question actually doesn't even make sense, because how do you then make yourself a standalone entity? The reason why this exists is because this guy existed, therefore either mirroring me or it's do you get what I'm saying? Like you can't separate the self-introspection of toxic femininity and then say, I'm just going to reflect on.
It needs to be relative to
something. Femininity doesn't exist without men. Sadly, it's
so. Oh, sorry, Ati. Another thing, you can't be toxic to yourself. Like you can't be toxic to yourself. You see your traits when you interact with other people. So your toxic traits shine at work. Your toxic traits shine with your siblings. Your toxic traits. Angiko toxic make me feeling uthando ngismamele music in pair. You know who?
So are we saying our toxic traits are perpetuated by other people around us, whether mother, father, or whatever?
They shine when you are with other people. They may not be the reason you are toxic, but you can see them when you start interacting with other people.
Nelly saying no.
You know what? For me, it's. Sorry, Nelly, maybe you're gonna also reply to what I'm gonna say. I think that toxic traits, well, for me especially, they exist because I'm trying to protect myself. They exist because I need to look for a safe space and I can't find a safe space, which means that I need to create one for myself internally. So how I can do that is build a wall, is have some way where I'm going to respond to a situation that works against me when I can't outwardly address it, right? So I think toxicity I'm not going to say for females actually, because I can't speak for other women, but I'm going to speak for myself in that for me, when I'm being toxic, it's usually because I'm looking for a safe space and I feel like I need to create it because I can't find it externally.
Nelly, you were saying
so that's in answering then what Tando is saying, Ubana, it exists. It doesn't exist when you're on your own. It can even exist when I'm on my own. If I feel like there's a factor threatening my safe space in whatever way, whether it's emotionally, mentally, or otherwise, I am going to build that wall so that I feel safe and protected.
Nelly, you were responding to what I was saying.
Look, for me, it's not even, because I'm hearing like it sounds like it's a blame game. Like we're saying your toxicity is perpetuated by someone. It's not, but it is relative to something. You need to be relating it to something. For instance, if we're going to talk about the toxicity of a drug, you can't say a drug is toxic if you've never seen it being tried on a rat or on something. How do you even say that this drug is toxic if it's just a drug that's sitting there?
Why are you guys saying really mad?
So the reason we are speaking about it relative to is because I am the toxic drug and I am being injected into something or someone in order for me or that other person to realize that no, Uneli is actually toxic. And for Uneli to also introspect and realize that actually I'm being toxic. So it's not a blame game or my toxicity is perpetuated by my partner. It's relative to. I am seeing it because there is someone who is reacting to it.
I'm going to say it again. Our toxic traits start shining when we interact with other people. They start shining when we interact with other people. You use the word perpetuate. I didn't use the word perpetuate, Bunches. It's your word. Our toxic traits shine when we are with other people. Because like I said, I'm on my own. It's not showing. I'm speaking to myself. It'll never shine. So it will come from a point of, no, you must see yourself interacting with people. You must see how you comment when girls post nice pictures of themselves. When someone breaks up with their boyfriend, you're like, when you are in spaces, that's where it shines. When you're alone, you think these things. But your toxic trait will shine as soon as you type that comment and you press send. That's when we say,
okay,
and these are real internal demons, guys. I feel toxicity is really something that is deep, that is within, that is a demon or something that is entrenched, whether by society or something that you've learned, but it is something that is internal, that when you can't you can't say there are external forces that cause this thing, but it's something that has been embedded in you by something, whether it is in your childhood, whether it is trying to build a wall so that you protect yourself, whatever the case is. The fact of the matter is that feminine toxicity also does exist, and it is a demon that women slowly but surely need to start confronting, because it is something that is not fully unpacked. I mean, if we speak of yin and yang, then we can't speak of the male masculinity, and not speak of the female
side of the coin.
Can we do closing comments? You know what I want to find out, right? Maybe can Mel please comment and let me know if my understanding or even this whole thing that I'm gonna say works. For me, when I realize women are toxic is when our relationship is built by our common hate for another girl. Women, I have never seen get closer. Nobody comes and says, no, but this is not right. Also, if you're feeling some type of way about a person, go tell them. Women are so, we build our relationships are, I usually watch people around me and it's but so your common trait is this person that you hate. What happens when you guys no longer hate this person, or one of you guys stops hating this person? You guys are just, this friendship it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, it won't thrive.
Okay, so I don't know if men. So I hear you guys, né? And I guess the bigger conversation here is digging deeper into what toxic is, what causes toxic, and so forth. So because we're running out of time and we do have to close the show, right, I guess the homework for everybody here is to kind of dig deep into what the toxic traits are, right? So I have a question for you that comes from Tunzi, guys, to say, we heard you. Everybody's been talking toxic. Everybody's been talking about everything that's there, you're right? But I think the one thing that he would like to know is that where do they find happiness? So where do people find happiness? Happiness eats for breakfast. So I think that is, he says, I mean, as a closing for the show as well, that's a question to answer. Where do we find the happiness?
In ourselves. There's no other way.
Because when you link as soon as it's no longer, we can't blame other people for being toxic. We can't put our happiness on other people's hands. You make your own happiness. That's why in every space that you go into, you need to make your intentions clear. You need to make people understand what you're all about, because it all starts with you. That, for me, that's where the happiness lies. It lies with you. And if you expect someone else to make you happy, then you're not going to be happy. I think even Jada Pinkett Smith said this at some point, but even in depth, the fact that you need to start with yourself, and then it will transcend to other people.
And as soon as you link your happiness to someone else or something else, what happens when it's gone?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're no longer happy.
For me, I mean, if I'm always going to say, but my friends make me happy, right?
Yes.
I have Nelly all around. I have Tando. I have Artie. What I mean, bazojola bonke labantu, you know, they are going to go into their own relationships. They are going to go into their own caves, and then I'm left alone. Where do I then find my happiness? You know, so I think all of that goes back into the introspection of who we are, what we want, our own expectations, and kind of digging deep as to what are the triggers in your life as well that get you to certain points. You know what I mean? I think we
Closing
also need
comment,
yes, this is my closing comment. So we also need to be very mindful of all the triggers that
and get home.
come into our lives, and that kind of this word perpetuates. I can think guy, but anyway, yeah, all these triggers that are concerns in our lives, you know, or yo, guys. But anyway, just to close off the show.
Dangane, also, as an individual, you need to know what happiness means to you.
Mhm.
Two, you need to know what makes you happy. If you know those things, there is no way you can put your happiness in somebody else's hands, because you yourself understand what happiness is and what makes you happy.
Closing comment, Aki.
Sure. All the comments that come in.
Closing comment, happiness, for me personally, happiness is working and seeing the work I do come to life. I don't know if anything makes me happier than work, guys. I become so happy if I'm writing something and then I see it, I'm happy. And food, yeah. My work and food, and just genuinely people I love. When they are happy, I'm happy. When we are talking, I'm happy. When I understand them, I'm happy. When I feel like they're in a good place, it's sad, but I do feel like my happiness is, yes, centered in myself, but also in the people
You're not an island.
To be healthy, to be good, to be in a good place, you know, then I'm happy.
And you said you're not an island. Yes, you're happy. For the people that are watching, please send us what you'd like us to discuss. Please give us content. We'll explore it. We'll find people to unpack it. We're running out of time, but please close the show.
Yo, Tando, ngicela like, no, you've been rushing us. Like,
we are 6 minutes and 37 seconds over time.
We finished the show on Monday at 7:15, and no one complained. So ngicela magmele tina sirai. Like, please. But anyway, guys, thank you to everybody that's participated. I think maybe this is a conversation to revisit at some point in time again. You know, I think it's so broad, it's so deep, you know, and I think we've also tried to explore things like mental health and all of these things. And I always say, guys, the dots always connect to each other somewhere, somehow. And we're always going to find ourselves then exploring into another topic because of everything that we're having. But thank you so much, ladies, for the interaction. Thank you for your opinions. Thank you to our guests that have tuned in. Thank you to everybody that's given their opinions, you know, and for everybody that wants to tune in, the show does live on the page as well. The conversations are there, the comments are there. So it's always healthy to go and revisit people's comments and people's opinions and kind of just dig deep into everything that is you know. Thank you so much, ladies. I am going to close the show.
Thank you, Nelly. Thank you, Ati, for joining us. Everyone else will see you next week. Like an hour of your data means a lot to us. Thank you so much.
I kind of know this week.
Bye-bye. Like, bye-bye, Tanya.
Bye.
Thank you, Nelly. And I will see you guys on Monday on the men's show again with Tom Makubela.
And I will see you on Wednesday with Katlego Bontle Mutingwe.
Thank you, guys. We see you behind the scenes. Nelly, stay tuned.
Nelly, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
All of you guys.
Thank you, Nelly.
Sharp. Bye, guys.
Thank you.